Let me read you something from an article about beginning. There's a part that gives this advice. When you begin, start with these elements. First, is your preparation thorough? Whether you're starting a new year or a new day, whether you're beginning the work of the gospel, studies as a student, or a business as an entrepreneur, have you made thorough preparations for that beginning? Second is this, something that brings you joy. It is said we must also find an element of joy. When it comes to the gospel, rather than saying, this is too hard, or I can't do this, we should remember that God delights in those who serve willingly, not out of obligation. Therefore, we should carry out the work of the gospel with joy and happiness in our hearts. Third, is this helpful to others? Fourth, is it meaningful whether it succeeds or fails? They say that when you begin something, you should make sure to have all four of these elements in place. But when we look at the gospel, doesn't it contain all four of these elements? Isn't that right? Is it meaningful whether it succeeds or fails? Our gospel must be meaningful without any failure. Next, is it beneficial to others? It is indeed helpful to others, because it leads souls who are headed for hell into heaven. Next, is this enjoyable for me? Everyone, why do we cry after a fruit is born? Even those who would not cry while watching a sad drama find themselves tearing up at the sight of their fruits receiving baptism. Isn't it because it is such a joyous occasion and a source of happiness? That is why we are told to begin with all these elements in place. However, they say to set big goals, but start small. That is why in Job chapter 8, it says that while our gospel may begin humbly, but what about the end? It will be prosperous. So then, a beginning is not based on the assumption that it won't work. Rather, it is the act of moving forward with the faith that it will work. And because of that faith, it is bound to succeed. Those who do not start, those who hesitate, and those who waver and delay, in situations where you cannot decide whether to do it or not, do not delay. Everyone, you should not start with a thought that it cannot be done. You should not harbor doubts whether, will it work or not. Instead, start with the conviction it will definitely be done. It would be good to start thinking, this will undoubtedly work. Let us turn to Matthew chapter 24, verse 13. But the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. The gospel of the kingdom was born to be preached to all nations. And what will eventually happen to the entire world? This gospel will be preached to all people, and then God's amazing work will be accomplished. How much will we contribute to and participate in this global work of salvation? Simply having determination and resolve does not make everything happen automatically. Even Jesus, as recorded in Mark chapter 1, rose early in the morning to pray. And what did he do afterward? It was preaching. Likewise, each day, father and mother begin salvation work to rescue their children with prayer and with this mindset. Mark chapter 1, verse 35. In chapter 1, verse 35, it is written, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. Simon and his companions went to look for him, and when they found him, they exclaimed, everyone is looking for you. Jesus replied, let us go somewhere else, to the nearby villages, so I can preach there also. That is why I have come." So he traveled throughout Galilee, preaching in their synagogues and driving out demons. In the early morning, he prayed early, and what followed immediately was preaching the gospel. That small beginning has now spread so widely that today there are few in the world who have not heard of Jesus. However, many still do not truly understand God's statutes, decrees, and laws. That is why we believe that it is now our mission to go to them, teach them correctly, open their eyes, and lead them rightly into the arms of God.